In the real publishing, in traditional publishing.
Okay, Mom.
Hey, Brad. Jeez.
Welcome to the Two Authors Podcast, an entertaining chat show hosted by best-selling mystery and thriller authors Douglas Pratt and Nicholas Harvey, in lively, humorous and informative conversation with distinguished guests who share their thoughts and experience about forging a successful author career.
Welcome to this week's show. You know what's different about this week's show, Doug?
I don't know. It's almost like we should be off today or something. I don't know.
Exactly. We should be. You're used to us coming to you every 2 weeks. Well, guess what? We're inundating you.
We're getting in your house every week. You can't even keep us away. We're peeking in your window.
To come. He actually has a restraining order about that sort of thing. Anyway, we are switching to weekly. We've taken the plunge, folks. Back in the day when we started this shindig, we thought, man, it's just going to be taxing to try and do it every week. It's going to be tricky. Who the hell will want to speak to us every week? And as this thing's grown, and thanks to everybody who listens in that and given their support, we've been able to grow a wee bit. We've taken the plunge. We're going to do every week. And so what we're going to do every once in a while, and today will be the first example of it, we're going to do some shorts, some a little bit tighter package, little less time, but we're going to interview some industry people. That's not going to be every other week. A lot of the time we'll just be dropping in some great interviews. In fact, we decided we're going to do every other week as an industry short. And within, I think, 2 days of us deciding this earlier in the week, we filled the in-between spots with full interviews with authors for more than we've got industry guests.
We aren't short for words, except for apparently right now. But so I expect these shorts will be a lot of us just enjoying each other's company too. So, but
like my midriff, they may expand.
Well, we have some other news too. It's going to be exciting because of this. Like a lot of things, we've decided to kind of step up a little bit, and we've introduced a Patreon for you guys to support us if you want to. You don't have to. The show's still going to be showing up every week, but moving to weekly does kind of mean a rise in expenses. And while I would spend money all day long to hang out with Nick,
but we do have to pay Sam to edit what we talk about.
Pay Sam to edit it, and there's other expenses which build up over time. So we've started a Patreon, and this is going to be helping us, along with our friends from Vellum, help us fund the show's costs. So if you feel like supporting our show, you can be part of our team. You know, and right now it's set for like less than the cost of a small cup of coffee.
Like a small black, no syrup, not a latte, just a cheap ass cup of coffee. It's cheap. It's $3, people. That's what it is. It's $3 is the tier at this point to join up. And if you do, we will give you a shout out for joining the Patreon, and we will love you forever and ever.
Well, we loved you already, but we'll love you a little bit more.
We'll love you more.
Yeah. More than your mom loves you. So, but also I think we're going to throw in a few extra exclusives, which will be what we're calling Two Authors Podcast Nugget videos, which will just be, you know, you and I sitting around chatting for 5-10 minutes about industry secrets, because we have all of those, industry problems that we might come into, because we've faced all those, different hacks, pointers. You can find us at patreon.com/the Two Authors Podcast.
Yep. Cool. And we appreciate you taking a look at that. That's great. So you'll notice we've mentioned Vellum briefly a couple of times, our fabulous sponsor, Vellum, but we didn't go into too much detail because guess what? Our first industry short is with Brad West from Vellum, who's a super guy, and we really appreciate the support.
He's a little better versed than we are, so yeah.
Yeah, he knows a lot more about their software. So to get a little bit of background on their software and some of the features, let's talk to Brad.
Welcome to the show, Brad. It's great to have you here.
Oh, thanks. It's great to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to get a chance to talk to you. We've been, talking about Vellum for a while now, and so we're excited. So really, let's kind of just dive in. Can you just give us a quick overview of really what Vellum provides for authors?
Vellum is formatting software. It's really taking care of that phase where you go from, looking at this giant Word file or Scrivener file, something that you've been writing and editing in, and then transforming it into something you can read, something that looks like a book, whether that's a printed book or an ebook. And we try to make that as painless as possible, easy to do, and create something that you can be really proud of to.
It is quite painless, I will have to say. Now,
Okay.
when you say turn into a book, it doesn't necessarily make it a good book, just so you know, because I've tried and mine still come out the same way.
We try to make it look nice anyway.
Yeah, it does look nice.
How long's it been around? When did you start the company?
We started the company in 2012 and released our first version. Oh, now I'm getting the dates wrong. Anyway, we're on 2012, so we're on our 12th or 13th year. We've been doing it for. Yeah, and the version from then was not what you see today. That first version was ebook only. You couldn't add images. It was really like, we didn't even know is this something that people will like and use and pay for. So we just wanted to get it out there, and just even in its limited form, we had the reactions we wanted. We had reactions saying, I'm actually enjoying this process that I've never enjoyed before. So that's been our, our North Star is one, try to keep it as quick as possible. You guys, we were just talking, you guys have other things to do, but also, make it enjoyable, make it look nice.
Well, it is, because I as someone who was publishing in 2012, and unfortunately I did not get on board with Vellum until recently, but, man, I remember formatting before Vellum, and it was brutal in Word. Yes. And you'd have to go through, and it was a disaster half the time. And I spent longer formatting than I did writing the book. So.
And that's kind of our origin story, that I like to tell. So our company is two of us that people know as the Brads, myself, Brad West, and Brad Andelman. When we started thinking about things to do, we had a bunch of ideas. And then, one morning, my wife came to me and said, "What's formatting?" And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, and she's not an author. She's like, "What's formatting?" I'm like, "What are you talking about? What's ebook formatting?" I'm like, I don't know. She's like, "Well, I just finished book 2 in this series, and I really want to read book 3. But on the author's blog, it says that it's done, but it's stuck in formatting. And I really want to read this book. What is formatting?" And that started this, we kind of looked into it and we're like, oh man, this looks painful. So.
Well, back then it was. I mean, you would often have to, open up, I'd format it, upload it, go in and find how it changed on Kindle and go back and fix it. And that was a long process, and you've removed all of that, which has been beautiful. So,
do you remember what book that was that your wife wanted?
It was, I've told, every time I tell this story, I'm like, okay, I need to go back and ask her. It was a series. It was an author in the Pacific Northwest. I need to track it down. I can't remember if that third book
it needs to be like encased on your wall. It's like the origins. So the formatting, I mean, we use it for our ebooks and print books, which are within a tight variety of sizes. But it can do a lot more, right? So if I'm doing a picture book of some sort, what's the limits of what the formatting can do size-wise?
We go down to 4x6, which we've heard mass market type sizes. I just talked to someone who's making little chapbooks at 4x6, and up to 8.5 by 11 / A4 letter size, which, are more like workbooks, more kind of nonfiction kind of stuff. Our sweet spot is novels between 5x8, 6x9, those ones. But yeah, we do have people who use those extremes.
I do want to test out I haven't done it yet, the mass market size, because I love that size as a book, and I think they'd be kind of fun to.
They're like little bricks.
Yeah,
because they got to be longer, right? They're little, but they're thick.
Yeah, and we first launched mass market a few years ago, and we had put up a bit of a resistance because in print on demand, in traditional publishing.
Okay, Mom.
Hey, Brad. Jeez.
In traditional, what I mean is in offset printing, which is used by both indie publishers and traditional publishers. But in offset printing, mass market can be less expensive. And in print on demand, that's not the case. It can also often be more expensive. So we had a hard time wondering, like, how are you going to make this work? These small books that, as you said, are thicker, they're more pages, they cost more per page. And so we had that feature for a while. Not a lot of people used it until people started using them, not for trying to sell on Amazon because the price is too high, but making gift books or making, little novellas that they sell direct to readers. That 4x6 is ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense, but it's adorable. So it's a really good way. And this is something that's changed over time, is authors selling direct to readers and finding those things that their most avid readers can buy. And it's really picked up.
That's definitely one of my things I want to look at, because I've always collected like the old pulp novels from the 60s and 70s. I love those. And I'd love to, I was like, I just want to kind of knock out with some cheesy classic 60s style cover, like a James Bond cover. I think it'd be a fun release, but yeah, the cost is too much, but it would be great for that. I think that's kind of fun. So what do you think it's best suited for? Like, is it more for fiction, nonfiction?
Fiction is really most of our user base. We have a lot of nonfiction too, who are writing, memoir type nonfiction. When you get deep into like, oh, I've got a research paper that has a lot of tables, that, that's not really, people do it, but that's not really our core thing. So most of our users are writing fiction, and, they're often pushing us in fun ways. And really just what I was talking about before of interesting ways to use print. As I said, when Vellum first came out, it was ebook only. At that time, everyone was like, print is dead. This is the future. When we released print, it was like, well, a lot of our customers are saying, hey, print doesn't make sense economically, but I just want to do it. Can you make something so that I don't have to spend a lot of time on it? And that was our motivation, like just make it quick, get it out there. And that was great too. It was great. Okay, print isn't dead. And then since then, it's really evolved to be like, no, actually print is really a valuable product for me, really for selling direct, whether it's these gift things or special editions. And so that's been fun to kind of take Vellum to follow where authors are going.
One of the things we just recently talked about, you have a text feature where you can show the text exchange, and I think that's brilliant. But I didn't really realize you could do that. So I'm curious, what do you think is the most underutilized feature that Vellum has?
Well, I was just at a conference in London, the Self-Publishing Show Live. Conferences are where we talk to people, where we hear from people, get feedback. The conference is where I met Nick. And it's great to hear it from both directions. We hear, what authors are doing that we could do better. And then we display books, and authors come by and say, oh, I didn't know you could do that. And one little one is just books in color. We're always surprised that people don't know you can do that. And again, it makes sense because it's hard to argue for that for your main paperback because it's more expensive to print. But when you get into special editions,
these romantic-y editions that come out and they love that fancy stuff. So
yeah, and so that's that kind of thing is what we hear. And it took me a few years to make peace with the fact that our users would come by and say, "Oh, I didn't know you could do that." We're like, "Well, we emailed you. We're so proud." But
we made a video. We did everything. We showed you.
But I get it, and we've said our goal is to make it easy to do and get on to all your other things. And we realize, like, hey, when you're an indie author, you've got 500 things to tackle, and we're happy when you say, hey, I only spent 20 minutes in Vellum getting my book formatted. We're like, great, we did our jobs. And so, we kind of understand, like, oh, a lot of people, they've got so many things to do, they can't go back and like look at, oh, I could put more work in and make something really special. And so that's what we hear a lot from. And the hardest part is finding the time to do that. But when authors are able to find the time, they find like, the text message feature, a lot of people discover that. But things like that we keep pushing on are putting background images, a lot of rich imagery in your book, which works great in print. That's what we've been added and we've been adding. And we understand that like not everyone is going to use those, certainly not as they're getting started. But, when they're ready to do a special edition or do something a little different, do something special for their readers, those features are there.
That leads into the next thing that we were going to ask you, which is what is the latest feature that listeners might not know about and would be interested in? And I think that the big thing that's came out recently is stuff for those special editions, right?
Yeah. We released a new set of features that we call backgrounds and borders. Again, one of those things that like 10 years ago when we were ebook only, we wouldn't dream of releasing a feature that was only for print. But these features are only for print. And it expands upon a feature we called heading background, which was a way you could put a nice full bleed image behind the first page of your chapter. People have just gone crazy with that, creating special editions. And we just went farther with that. So allowing you to put backgrounds really anywhere, whether that's just like a nice subtle page texture behind every pages or doing things like a dark nightscape behind pages, whether that's the whole book or whether that's one chapter or one section, just giving a lot of flexibility for just incorporating more and more imagery into your book. And then borders is just a really nice, simple feature, just putting borders around pages. Again, some pages, we've seen people who, some authors who use that if they've got like a teaser at the end of their book and they want to make that teaser look a little different than their main content, they'll put a little border on that. It's a way you can, if you're writing in, say, YA or even a little bit younger, just having more imagery kind of feels more like that genre. So
I could just scan a picture of me and use that as a background for all of my book. Okay. I think my readers would love that. So that's
Doug's thinking of writing horror.
I wasn't in a Speedo or anything. I was just going to be like, So like, as you go to these conferences and you talk about talking to authors, and I think a lot of one of the things that probably, worries new users is like, what's the most challenging aspect you've heard people say when they get started? And is it really as challenging as they think it is,
It's as far as formatting?
I'm getting Vellum. It's got a lot of features. So sometimes that can be overwhelming for some people. And, we have a lot of people, like Nick here, who's a little bit older than the rest of us.
That's stupid.
They struggle, well, seriously though, what do you think that the writers are saying is the more challenging aspect that actually, is more intimidating than it is challenging? Does that make sense?
Well, we do, again, going back to those features that authors don't know are there and my like, why didn't you know they're there? And I remember like, actually that's by design. Like we really don't want those features that are used by 5% of our users to be in your face and have just a big mess. We really want to keep it, hey, your main workflow is there, and when you want to use those features, you can find them. I think on both sides, on ebook and print, there's different problems that people are scared of. Ebooks, you're really worried about, is this file going to be valid? Is it going to be accepted? It's a hard problem. This just kind of conceptualizing this fact that your book is going to look different for every reader. Whether they're on a phone or something bigger, they're going to change your font size. It's kind of a hard thing to understand. So, that's something we do try to help you understand in Vellum with our little preview. You can change what device you're viewing. It does take a little bit of acceptance that like, hey, you're not going to be able to control all of this. And so you don't get there immediately, but we hope that you can kind of just better understand that.
And it's like anything, you're going to have to get in there and you can't just jump in the first day and bam, you know exactly what's going to happen. Read the tutorials. I'm the worst about reading tutorials. If I can't jump in, but I also just, you still got to do it.
But honestly, I mean, when I started using it 3-4 years ago, I did just jump in. Honestly, I did, because I am terrible at reading tutorials and going and looking at like you'll YouTube something real quick. But it's like, as authors, generally speaking, for us as indie authors, we are go, 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 right? So I need to format it now. And I downloaded Vellum and I got my Mac. So I'm going to format it now. So the first time I attempt to format something is when I have to format it.
Yeah.
Which is about 3 hours before it needs to be uploaded to Amazon.
It's deadline, right? What you're talking about in the simplicity of the interface and what have you, it was super seamless. I mean, the first thing is I wanted to do some stuff that I didn't know at the time that I shouldn't be doing or didn't need to be doing. And I'm hunting for all that and it's not there. It's like, no, it's actually simpler than that. Just do this. Pick your font. Pick how you want the line to lead in. The menus are not intimidating at all. I found the process super simple and quick. And all of a sudden it's like, well, I'm formatting and this was really easy.
Yeah, it really is. And I like, what I love, and it's kind of a weird, it's not even that big of a feature, but I click the generate and immediately it's not this rude, but I fear it's thinking you dumbass, you didn't save the file yet. So it reminds me to save it, because otherwise I would generate it and just keep moving. But then it spits it all out in every print and in all the different EPUB formats it needs. And I think that's great, because sometimes I'm like, I didn't think about, it's just one button, and that's so nice. So,
all right. So, what have you got that you can tease us? What's an upcoming feature you're excited about? Something you can tell us about that's coming down the line.
Well, we just launched this background stuff. So right now we're in listening.
That was
mode.
Pretty big. That was pretty big, huh?
So now you're just excited about the picture of me and all the books that are going to show up. That's going to.
Yeah, so we kind of switch between listening mode, and there's always, when we release stuff, there's like, oh, we didn't think of this. We've got to make this a little simpler. So we're kind of in that listening mode, and so this is when we talk to authors. We've always got ideas, but one of the reasons we don't look too far in the future is, things change. And we like to be able to say, okay, what's a hot button right now that we can either make easier or do something that you haven't been able to do.
And you're a conduit, right? I mean, you're the middleman between the author and the whoever is going to be producing the product. So it's moving on both sides of you, and you have to react to that, right?
Yeah, for sure. And that's always true. And things on Amazon are always changing. We try not to have people aware of those changes. Try to take care of that stuff. But yeah, it is a moving target.
But you're super reactionary, and I'm not just blowing smoke here, but this is part of the reason we met originally, was that there was an issue with the attribution links and being able to use them. And you guys reacted. I was stunned how quickly you reacted to that and fixed it.
It was a great example of like, hey, Amazon dropped this feature and we could totally see how this was useful. And it was great, Nick, that we had you to work with, because a lot of things we can do on our own and with our with our own kind of setup and test on Amazon, but the Amazon attribution stuff was like, no, we really need to work with real data here and make sure something is working. And it was a great example that the timing worked out great. Like when you started talking to us about it, we're like, this is. We can see how this is important. Let's get this in and get something working. So
superb. All right. So tell the listeners where they can find Vellum, and are you subscription? Are you one-time cost? Just explain that.
It's a one-time purchase. So you can find us at vellum.pub. So you will need a Mac to use Vellum, but we make that a free download. So you can just go to our website, download it. And the way it works is you can use that software as long as you want. That generate button that Doug was just talking about, that's the button that's disabled, but everything else is available for as long as you want. So you can bring your book in, test it. We occasionally at a conference, we've met people who said, oh yeah, I downloaded your software a year ago, and I've been slowly writing my book in it. Is that okay?
There's lots of people we hear from writing books in it now. Yeah.
And they're like, they come up to me, they're like very sheepish. They're like,
is that
apologetic.
okay? Is that okay? And she's like, no, how dare you use it this
Give me my software back, you fool.
But, they haven't paid for it yet because they haven't been ready to publish. And I am like thrilled. I'm like, great. I know not everyone does this, but we're thrilled. We're like, hey, by the time you purchase, if you know this is exactly the software you want, excellent. I mean, we're thrilled with that. We want to be that. So yeah, it's a one-time purchase for print and ebooks. It's $250. But once you purchase, it's yours, and including updates.
And that's one of the things that held me back was I didn't have a Mac, and so it's not that hard. They make some of the Mac Minis is what I actually bought a Mac Mini just to run Vellum on because that was my main reason for wanting one, and it's completely worth it. Made my life so much easier. So
yeah, I've talked to a lot of people that have grabbed a Mac off eBay or Marketplace or something, or gone to the store and got one just so they can switch over. I switched back. Actually, I was really happy to switch back to Mac from PCs after years in racing using PCs. So, but it's good to get into. Brad, this has been brilliant. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for supporting the podcast here and being a great friend to us. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah, happy to.
Yeah, so you gave the website. It'll be in the show links. And if you'd like to support the show, we're now on Patreon. So check us out on Patreon at the Two Authors Podcast. And until next time, be cool to each other.
Fair winds and following Zeke.
You've been listening to the Two Authors Podcast with Nicholas Harvey and Douglas Pratt. Subscribe on your favorite platform for alerts on new shows coming every 2 weeks.